Yo everybody, what's going on? This is Keegan from Kman Reviews. If you enjoyed this review, make sure you hit that like and the subscribe button, and if you have any opinions at all that you would like to share, make sure to leave them down in the comment section. Crowne, Kings in the North. Crowne is a Swedish hard rock, melodic rock supergroup coming out of Frontiers Records. This one wasn't really on my radar until I got a request from a loyal viewer and subscriber. Thank you so much for that, by the way. So while this technically is a request video, it's also a new release, so I'm counting it as a new release. Excited to jump into this. Loved a lot of the melodic scene coming out of these Scandinavian countries, so what are my thoughts on Kings in the North? Let's find out as I review this album track by track. We will start with the singles, with there only being one pre-release, with that being Mad World, which opens up with that satisfying chugging riff accompanied by some police sirens, very fitting to the title, and then the verse just explodes. The drums are aggressive, and then it slows right back down, and then slightly builds back up again. It's quite the roller coaster of intensity in just the first minute alone, but I quite enjoy that. It helps to keep me engaged, and this instrumental is very well performed. Vocalist Alexander Strandl is quite the powerhouse vocalist. He has a nice range, good depth and volume to his screaming, which he seems to prefer, and lyrically it's about this dark, crumbling world full of scarring stories and betrayal, hoping this person will be there to help him. Not a bad single choice. Let's see how the rest of the album compares. Now for the rest of the tracks. Opener and the title track, Kings in the North, opens up pretty safely with the slow background melody acting as a bit of an introduction before the real instrumental kicks in, and it's a nice, simple, melodious hard rock beat. I especially like the synth arpeggios behind the heavy riff and the powerful percussion. Not a groundbreaking instrumental or anything, but certainly an appropriate one when diving into a genre like this. Alex's vocals are nice. He stays into his more normal register for the verses before letting it all out for the chorus, which feels like a much more satisfying moment than the overwhelming high notes that were on Mad World. Lyrically, it's kind of a self-congratulatory song, how the world is falling apart and only the kings in the north can protect the people, i.e. this band. It's certainly a fitting opener and a good song to boot. Percival is a nice track as well, opening up similarly to Mad World with a muted intro followed by a chugging riff and catchy percussion, but everything's a little bit dialed back for this one. It's not so assertive, not as in your face. The verses have a neat structure to them. When Alex is singing, everything cuts back to a steady drum before the instrumental comes bursting back when he goes silent. The chorus has much more of a ballad quality to it, giving the song a bit of an earnest, heartfelt tinge to it, and Alex has a very gripping vocal tone to match, even if the instrumental does overpower him a little bit. Regardless, I still enjoy this one. Sharoline opens up with a fitting rainstorm and thunder before switching gears instantaneously with that riff, the OOOs, and especially that bass work, which is very well done. Alex really gets to flex his range on this song. He opens up the verses in his deepest pitch yet, almost sounding like a casual speaking voice before building up to a more natural singing voice, and the chorus is almost like a shriek. And it kind of reminds me of Hans Kett of Sharoline, especially on their debut album when Hans didn't really have complete control over his voice and just belted the entire song. Thankfully, that's not the case here, and that tone just for the chorus is nice. Lyrically, it seems to be about this distant relationship, someone who keeps lying to him. Factor in a guitar solo, and this is a pretty good song as well. Unbreakable opens up with a brief string plucking before this riff comes in, leading us to the verse with the staccato structure of the instrumental combined with Alex's slightly deeper voice. I really like the soaring keys on this one in particular. They add that kind of grandiosity that is very appropriate. But as a whole, this one is pretty basic, pretty by the numbers for a song of this genre, and I do think there are plenty better on this record. The chorus doesn't quite reach those heights even with the aforementioned grandiosity. The solo is nice though, very energetic as it is harmonizing with the beat a few times. Lyrically, it's pretty obvious just about how they are unbreakable, no slowing down, which is pretty par for the course for a song like this in this genre. It's still a perfectly competent song, but not up to the level of some of the previous ones. 1 in a Million might just be my favorite track on this record. This one really feels glamorous. The synths are pretty prominent here, mixing well behind the vocals as the riff and percussion are still as well played as ever. But what really pushes this track above and beyond for me is that chorus. I can just feel all the passion and power in Alex's voice as he sings this infectious melody in a satisfying yell. Plus, this guitar solo is so damn good. It's eclectic, it's immaculate, as these lyrics portray this protagonist going through everything to try and get this partner that he needs since they're one in a million. Phenomenal song. Give this one a listen. Sum of All Fears opens up with the sectioned off strumming, more luscious keys, more chantable OOOs, and when the verse dials things back, the bass work gets another chance to shine as that, along with the faster tempo and the previously mentioned riff, it feels like one of the heaviest tracks on this album. Alex's vocals stay about the same as normal. He doesn't soar as high as some of the worst offenders on this album, and even when he does go higher, it's pretty much for one line only, so that's kind of a nice bonus. Another great guitar solo and these lyrics about battling the sum of all your fears. Very motivational, very empowering. Pretty good song. Set Me Free changes things up on opening numbers, not kicking off with a traditional instrumental, but instead a theatric section string melody on top of Alex's duller, more tame vocals. It's a very welcome change as the drums slowly encroach into the melody, really sounding like a marching band coming down the street. Then, of course, the riff comes in like normal, building to the chorus, and it's there where I realize that this may actually be an album highlight. Not just because of the difference to the rest of the tracklist, but also because Alex doesn't really yell too much on this one. It feels tamer, it feels more composed, and I really enjoy that. It almost feels like a breath of relief. Plus, there's a synth solo instead of a guitar solo. Great track. Give this one some love. Make a Stand is probably one of the most standard songs I've heard in this genre. Not even that it's bad, but I've heard this exact same song done so many times. The riff is slow, the drums are looming and powerful, the synth work is great as always. I think the one thing that may make this song stand out is a catchy melody for the chorus. The way it's sung, the way it's performed is very appealing, and Alex's vocals really come off like this grand call to arms, which really works with these lyrics, which should be pretty obvious given the title, just about soaring high, breaking free, unification amongst our brethren, and making a stand against this authority. It's alright, not bad at all, just really nothing special. Cross to Bear is another one of the heavier tracks on this record, and I really like this one, especially that riffing. It feels like it has much more grit than the other tracks, giving the song a bit of a metal flair more so than just a hard melodic rock song like the rest of the album has. Alex's voice is yet again quite flexible here, but not overbearing, which is another reason why I enjoy this one a bit more. The chorus has a very sticky melody, as these lyrics are pretty self-explanatory, mostly about this feeling of seclusion and loneliness, bearing the cross, fully knowing it's his right to do so. Very nice track, I enjoy this one a lot. And finally, the closer, Save Me From Myself, is the obligatory, slow, ballad closer of an album like this, and it's alright. It's a nice, refreshing finale to an album like this, opening up with these chimes and piano before the real instrumental kicks in, and it's just a basic, slow rock instrumental, but still has a good groove to it with the heavy percussion and deep riff. There's even still a solo here, which I was quite surprised by. It's a slow solo, unsurprisingly, but there is a nice pitch change at the end of the song, giving the album an appropriate send-off as it fades away. Lyrically, it's about how his mind is full of dark thoughts, hoping to find that one person to truly save him from himself. I mean, it's an alright closer. Overall, I definitely enjoyed this album. If you love your 80s wave of melodic rock, this will definitely strike right up your alley, no doubt. Can't say it's perfect though, some of the songs come off as a bit weak, a little bit frail as most of these albums tend to have, but this is really just kind of a genre fan album, and with me being a fan of the genre, yeah, I found myself headbanging quite a few times during this experience. I'm feeling about a 7.5 out of 10 on this album. Well guys, hope you enjoyed that review. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.